Welcome to the Amazon's podcast. I'm Glenn Young, owner of Amazon's Fitness Magazine. Celebrate the female physique. Subscribe to AmazonsFitMag.com. The podcast is brought to you by GPS Photography and Video. Why photography and video? Because with photos worth 1,000 words, videos worth 1,000,000. GPSPhotoandVideo.com. My guest, NPC Wellness Competitor, Tyler Cradick.
Hi, Glenn. How are you?
I'm great. Glad to talk to you. Glad to meet you. It's always ironic when I meet someone, and not only are they in Fayetteville, but you actually live in Raeford. And so, to my surprise, I'm like, well, okay, don't know how I miss you. And I'm always trying to, of course, promote the North Carolina competitors because I'm here in North Carolina, especially Raeford, Fayetteville area. And so I was pretty excited when I saw, and I always see, a North Carolina competitor so close, especially when I go to the shows and see the different competitors. I'm always looking for the ones from North Carolina that are competing as well. So it's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure meeting you. I'm really honored to be a part of this, and I'm so happy you asked me on the podcast. So this has been a blessing for me.
Too easy. Glad you came on. Tell everybody about your fitness journey. We'll start there and give us a little bit of your bio, but you have an amazing story. So lay it on us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been bodybuilding about 3 years at this point, but this will be my first actually competitive season on stage. So I'm super excited about that. And a quick shout out to my coach, Trey Hodges. He's a phenomenal coach, and I'm so thankful to have him in my corner. But my fitness journey in general actually started in 2019. I was 350 pounds and I was on a wait list to have gastric bypass done. And then right at the beginning of 2020, COVID hit, and all elective surgeries got put on hold in the medical facilities. And so I ended up not having the surgery done. My husband and I got divorced at that time, and I moved across the country, and I didn't have health insurance. And so at that point, I had decided really not to have the surgery done. My best friend had the surgery done, and she ended up having some adverse issues in the long run with her health. And so I'm really thankful in the long run that I didn't have that surgery done. I decided I would start, trying to lose the weight on my own. I got down to about 280 pounds. And then in late 2021, early 2022, I started having dizzy spells, wasn't feeling well, went to the doctor, found out I was a type 2 diabetic. So at that point, I really got into the mirror, and that hit me so hard. I have 2 children. My son Donovan is 13 this year, and my daughter Emma is 11. So of course, being a mom, always thinking about my kids. I don't want to, leave them without a parent. And so I went to the Lord and I got in prayer, and I basically told him, I need you to put me in the refining fire, and I need you to burn off everything that's keeping me from being undisciplined, everything that's keeping me from being disciplined and healthy. I can't do this on my own. I need you to discipline me. And although I've been in the refining fire many times because I make poor choices and I always seem to want to learn the hard way, and the Lord knows that about me, this is the only time in my life that I've asked him to put me in there, and he did. And he, it wasn't an easy journey. When I first started, I started out going to the gym. I really only did cardio. I wasn't too fond of weightlifting. I didn't know what to do, so I wasn't confident in that. I spent about 8 months doing that before I really started to weightlift. And so backtrack to 2019, before all of this happened, I actually had a dream one night that I was going to be on a stage in front of thousands of people one day. And I never really gave too much thought to it. I kind of wrote it down, and I just kind of dismissed it. Right. I figured I would be speaking at a women's conference or something one day. And I was just like, okay, Lord, whatever you have for me, I'm good on it. And so I started weightlifting, and I think it was right about 2023. I saw a video of Rayan Fogel competing at the Arnold, and I saw this video on Instagram, and I thought, wow, I'm really built genetically a lot like this woman. Like, this is so cool. I want to do this. I want to pursue this. And so I started working towards that. And I spent about a year doing that. And then at the end of 2024, I had a major abdominal surgery, which kind of set me back. So I spent almost all 2025 kind of in recomp and rebuilding that. Now, the really cool thing is I started out, even though Rayanne was my inspiration, when I first started training to bodybuild, I originally wanted to do wellness. The coach I had at the time thought it would be better for me to do women's physique because I did have a built upper body and I'm able to build muscle really easily, which is a huge genetic gift for women. So I started working towards that. At the end of 2024, I decided, hey, like this, it's not for me. I really want to do wellness. So I decided to reclass to that. But the cool thing is, last October, I had the opportunity to go to the Olympia. And I came in to the Olympia and I sat down and that night, and God reminded me of that stage he showed me in 2019. And it was that stage. And it was such a full circle moment. And it was crazy because I got to actually watch Rayanne on that stage as well that night. So it really just kind of hit home, that the Lord has asked me to do this. And he told me that this is what was going to happen. And I would have never chosen this for myself. I was athletically gifted in high school, but I was always an overweight kid, really bulky. I didn't even know what bodybuilding was, 4 years ago. So this has been such a wild journey. I really am just so grateful for it. I would have never chosen this for myself in a million years.
Well, I mean, that's quite traumatic when you think about losing the weight, getting divorced, going across country, and then coming back. I mean, what was your mindset? I know God led you back, but give me a little bit more as far as, how hard was this? How emotional were you? And then it flows, especially at the same time, trying to manage your kids who just saw their parents get divorced.
Yeah, it's it's been a really hard journey, Glenn. One thing I tell people, and I have such a heart for the Lord and for helping people. And I'll tell people, I could give everything away that I own tomorrow, and I know that God will replace it for me. And that's not out of a prideful thing, but because God knows my heart. And there's, when my husband and I got divorced and my kids moved across the country, we spent a year essentially without anything, like mattresses on the floor. I was working a job that I really hated and wasn't able to start going to the gym at that time. I would just like walk around my neighborhood. I would swim and things like that. And then when I moved out here to North Carolina in 2022, that's when I really started taking things seriously after I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So that was a huge shift for me. It's not easy, one thing the sport has taught me is patience. And so when I first got into the gym, the biggest thing that I said to myself is, I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to do everything that I need to do to be healthy. So even if at the end of the day, I was to die 280 pounds 40 years from now, what could they say against me? That I wasn't out there trying, that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. And so I just kind of had that mindset that I wasn't going to quit. I wasn't going to give up. I was going to do whatever it takes to get there. And God really came in and helped me along the way. I implemented some rules, and I had actually just shared this on my Instagram as well to kind of encourage people. But one of the rules that I had when I first started in the gym was, even if I didn't feel like going, I had to go and I had to do at least 15 to 20 minutes. And if at the end of 15 to 20 minutes, I was still like, hey, I really don't want to be here, then I could leave. And in 3 years, there was only one day that I actually left the gym. In 3 years, one time. And it was because I had this just mind-splitting headache. I was so nauseous and I just couldn't get past it. But that really kept me, and it kept fueling me, and I got addicted to the results. I saw how great things were changing in my life, and how wonderful it is when you do get healthy. I mean, just the benefits alone are so amazing. I've been able to show my kids what it's like to be healthy and really set a great example for them, which I'm extremely grateful for. And one of the biggest things that I'm trying to do now, just even outside of competing, is really inspire everyday folks. You know, they don't have to be bodybuilders, but to get in the gym and be healthy, you know, and what it takes to get there. Because I really feel at the end of the day, I'm the poster child for if I can do this, anybody really can do this, you know, because I was not gifted in any way to do this. And I never would have chosen this for myself. And somehow here I am now. So I think, you know, one thing that really bothers me, especially about women's bodybuilding in general, is I think that the social media presence, the majority of it makes it seem like unless you're perfect and aesthetically pleasing and, you know, you've just been bodybuilding since the womb, you'll never be able to do this. And it's just simply not true. And I think it discourages a lot of people. And I think it encourages a comparison mindset for a lot of these younger women as well. You know, they're looking at these Olympians, they're looking at people that have been bodybuilding for 10 years. And are in prep, you know, 9 months out of the year. And they're thinking, unless I look like this person, I'm going to be a failure. And it's just simply not true, you know.
What brought you back to North Carolina, and how did you get started in competing?
Yeah. So what actually brought me out here, my ex-husband and I at the time, him and his wife got stationed out here. He's in the Army. And so what we decided was, as co-parents, that it would be so much easier if the kids and I also lived out this way so that they could spend a lot more time with their dad, because that was super important to me. So that's what we decided. And I ended up taking a job out here, which became a huge blessing to me. And everything just worked out. And so when I first started competing, I mean, that was my desire to compete actually came from Rayanne Fogel and seeing her. That really inspired me. And I knew, you know, when I had first hired a coach and started working towards that it would probably be a couple years before I was able to compete, especially coming from as heavy as I was. Even now I have a lot of loose skin. But because of my health conditions, my insulin resistance and my type 2 diabetes, I needed a specific nutrition. I needed my cut to be longer to keep my insulin in check.
Right.
So things had to be very specific to who I was as an individual.
How did you meet, and how did you end up picking Trey Hodge, Dr. Trey Hodge, as your coach?
Yeah, so I actually met Trey through a friend of mine who's also a competitor, and I was extremely grateful for it. I was kind of at my wit's end with a couple coaches that I had worked with. I had went to them and just kind of said, you know, I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels. That, you know, the things you're having me do isn't really working for me as an individual. And that's, you know, that's no shade to them. I think there's a lot of great coaches out there who have plans that work for the majority of people. And I just needed something very specific. And Trey was able to provide that. And so his knowledge and his medical knowledge especially has been just really such a huge thing in my arsenal these past 6 to 8 months here.
And it's really ironic. I just keep running into his competitors and keep shooting them. And I finally got him to come on the YouTube channel. And everyone from female bodybuilder Sheena Oleg, women's physique pros Amy McCown and Teresa Moda, and now you. So it's sort of special. And it definitely was not planned, but I'm getting a kick out of it, and I'm sure he will get a kick out of this podcast as well once he sees it. How often do you go to Florence to train with him, or do you just do mostly everything online with him?
We do mostly everything online, but I will tell you, excuse me, Trey is very responsive. So he responds to me right away. Any questions I have, questions about protocol, nutrition, anything, even if I was to shoot him a text right now, he'd probably get back to me within 10 minutes. I mean, he's fantastic. I've had times where he's been traveling here in the United States and overseas, and it's time for check-ins and stuff. And I've let him know, like, hey, no rush. And he'll get back to me right away, even then. So he is really a phenomenal coach. I'd like to say I'd like to keep him to myself and keep him as a hidden gem, but he's so amazing. I really think that he's kind of a hidden talent in the bodybuilding world for sure.
Yeah, and hey, I was glad to talk with him and excited because he's really right here. Florence is just over an hour outside of Raeford to go down and see him, hour and a half. So that's good stuff. What gym do you train at? Because when you look at it, you got Fit for Life, Crunch Fitness, True Fit. So many of them, but not many are bodybuilding gyms, if you will.
Yeah,
Lifestyle gyms
absolutely.
for sure, but not every gym is a bodybuilding gym. What's your gym of choice?
My gym of choice is usually Fit for Life All American on Owen Drive, just because it's big. So I
Mhm.
mostly train in the evenings after work and after my kids get out of school, which is, that's high traffic hours for a gym.
Oh yeah,
Everybody's going to the gym during that time.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
to me, I'm like, I'm already spending on average 3 hours in the gym total a day, between fasted cardio and my lift. And so I want to be able to go in, and I want the gym big enough that even if it's super busy, I'm able to get everything I need done. And Fit for Life All American usually provides that for me.
And yeah, the traffic's gonna get worse with all the building that they're doing on 401 near Gillespie Street. I mean, I'm glad they're bringing the Texas Roadhouse. It'll be closer to the house, but I mean, yeah,
I
is
know they
so many
definitely need to
subdivisions.
widen that highway out there
Yeah,
because the traffic's already bad right there. So
yeah, and so many subdivisions being built. So are your kids in Hoke County schools?
they are. Yes, they are.
Well, East Hoke and Hoke High, right?
No, West Hoke.
West Hoke. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. Because you're on the 211 side. Okay. So
Yes.
yeah, West Hoke. And then they'll of course fade into Hope County High School. So yeah, good stuff. So I do a lot of work with Hope County and I film like the football games and stuff like that. But I'm a teacher at Douglas Byrd High School. And so that's a unique transition as well. I enjoy it and I get to do a lot of the stuff that I'm doing now. So it's really not work. Teaching Adobe with Photoshop, Illustrator, and this semester InDesign, and then this semester Adobe Video. So it's pretty cool watching the projects and the kids what they put out. But then they're always challenging me. So they see me on a podcast or see me doing something. They say, "Well, I counted 4 and this, that, and
Oh my
other."
goodness.
But hey, I'm raising some professionals, and a lot of them are going on to college. At least 3 are going on to major in graphic design and filmmaking and things like that. So hopefully, I can pull them back in to do some work for me once they get out there in the industry. But it's great stuff. What do you do?
I'm actually in fraud and compliance for health insurance.
Oh,
So
boy.
right now I work. Yeah, I work privately for a private organization, and I manage their appeals and grievance and investigations department, which is really awesome. It's a lot of legal work without a lawyer's degree, is what I always say.
Mhm.
And essentially, I just keep the company in line and make sure we're doing what's right, regardless if it benefits the company or a member on their plan. So that's really important to me. I love being able to help people. When I first transitioned into this career, I actually worked for a large traditional health insurance company. And I'm not going to say their name, but it used to sadden me how much their members would just suffer and be out of pocket all the time. And it just seemed like, the health insurance always wins at the end of the day. And so I was actually headhunted to come on to this company by my former boss. And they're really trying to change a lot of the industry and provide more price transparency to members so that members have the opportunity to see how much they're going to be out of pocket before they incur services, which I think is a huge win for the American people, where health insurance and, healthcare costs are just through the roof these days.
Right. So as you continue to get ready, cut, mold, and get ready to hit the stage, and you look out there, what show are you eyeing? What show do
So
you have
it's
your
funny because Trey and I were actually just talking about this. We have a plan and it's changed several times. So originally when I came to Trey and I started, being coached by him, my original show that I wanted to debut at was the Charlotte Pro.
eye?
And like I said, it's been a really long cut, and it's been interesting to watch how my body responds. And so this sport has taught me a ton of patience. I'm not in a rush to get on stage. When I get up there, I want to do it right. And so it's not about just doing it. It's about, making sure that when I do get up there, we're on the right track and going towards where we need to go. Because as you know, this sport is super expensive. So I've seen so many competitors be put on stage by coaches or just get up there themselves when they're probably not conditioned enough or ready enough just to say they've been on the stage. And I never wanted that to be me. And so Trey knows I'm not in a rush to get on stage. We were going to premiere at the Palmetto Classic, but now it's probably looking like we'll be doing the Wilmington show at the 1st of June, or, it's like the first week or two of June. So.
Okay. Well, that's great. And of course, I wish you well.
Thank you so much.
You started with women's physique. Who told you, your wellness, and do you feel that wellness is your place? Because definitely the prize money, and there's definitely a lot more shows at the NPC level, and it transitions over when you go to pro as well, because there's a lot of wellness pro shows. One big one this weekend, I think there's like 30 some competitors. It's the New York Pro. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a fan? I know you mentioned Rayanne Fogel, but do you have a favorite, or what are you thinking? How did you end up in wellness?
I don't have a favorite for the New York show, although I have seen there's one particular competitor, and I've seen her post a few times that she has stepped away and she's coming back to the New York Pro, and her physique. Yeah, I think so. Her physique compared to some of the other girls, I mean, just like blows it out of the water. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens. Now, I did start out in women's physique, and I really love having a muscular upper body. So what I would really like to see, Glenn, is I would love to see a division like wellness, but also where it promotes upper body muscularity in the heels, very feminine, not so much like all the way to women's bodybuilding, but something kind of in between where it has big glutes and quads, but you're also able to have large biceps and shoulders,
Well, we got 7 divisions, everything from women's bodybuilding, women's physique, of course, figure, wellness, bikini, and fit model. And so, I don't think I forgot any, but I love them all, of course, and promote them all in Amazon's fitness magazine. But I think there's definitely something for everyone, a division for everyone. And, like I said, I love them all, promote them all. And, whether people don't like the fit model or people give all the hate to women's bodybuilding, that's where it started. And so I really enjoy doing the magazine and promoting women, because it truly is to celebrate the female physique. And if people just give it a chance and get out there, get involved, I'm sure they would find how much they enjoy it as well.
Absolutely. And I don't think a lot of people understand what it takes for a woman to build muscle, and to do these things. Like I've had even several women make comments to me. They're like, "Oh, I would never want to be that muscular." And I, just sit there and I'm like, "Hey, like, no shade, but you probably don't work hard enough to be that muscular." So I'm not worried, you don't have to worry about that. You're not gonna, like I've seen several competitors say, you're not gonna mess around and get jacked. That's what most of us are trying to do, and we're working hard at it, and it's still hard for us.
And sadly, I can only imagine, and I've seen it based on males and females, when you're quote unquote obese, up to 300 plus pounds, as high as you were, and at the same time when they died down and you're shredded and muscular. So it's like you'll never be somebody's cup of tea. And so at the end of the day, health is wealth, and you got to take care of you and forget about what everybody else says. Look yourself in the mirror. That's the person you got to beat. That's who you're competing against, and that's who you got to make sure that you're around to take care of yourself, that you're around to see your kids grow up as well. So
absolutely,
keep doing you. Fascinating story. I love it. Glad to meet you. But let's talk about Carolina bodybuilding, NPC bodybuilding. I would love to have a pro show come to Fayetteville. You were promoting
Yes.
the natural show last weekend. Tell me how you got involved with that. And of course, we both know about the Crown
Yes.
Coliseum. I mean, the Crown Coliseum could definitely hold a top tier show. And but I want to hear what you think, and how can we promote it so that promoters will want to come to Fayetteville?
Yeah, absolutely, Glenn. The biggest thing I think is, obviously, we all know, well, you and I know, and the people that sponsor these shows know, these shows
Mhm.
are not free to put on. It's not, it is expensive. And a lot of the people that do invest into our shows for the Carolinas do so from their own money. And so I think a lot of people just think that, things
Mhm.
just happen, but we need more people, not just competing in the sport and in our shows, but we need more spectators as well. And I think more just like transparency about what bodybuilding is, how everything works, how awesome these shows are, I think really, really would set us on the map for the Carolinas. I know Chris and Mike, I know them and they're doing great things. I'm trying to help promote as many of the shows as I can and also go to as many of the shows as I can. As a competitor, I want to support, this is my state, and I want to help these shows grow, and I want to help this state grow in the sport of bodybuilding. I'm really excited about the show lineup for this season. Trey and I are talking about probably about 4 shows total. My big show this year is going to be the Gold's Gym Classic in August. And so that's kind
Raleigh,
of the
right?
mark. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Is that in Raleigh?
It is. Yes, it is in
Yeah.
Raleigh.
Mhm.
And one of the great things is that show is really going to help put Carolina on the map for sure, because it will be the last show for
Mhm.
pros to qualify for the Olympia before the Olympia. And so, within a couple years, I know Mike had said they're really going to try and have even men's open bodybuilding at that show, which would be phenomenal. So I know this year the show is going to be extremely big. They have over 60 vendors that have already committed to the show, which is awesome. So we might even get to the point where it's almost like an expo. Nashville has an expo. The Arnold has an expo. I could
Right.
definitely see the Gold's Gym Classic eventually having an expo as well in Raleigh.
And let's not forget the big Pittsburgh Pro Festival, Fitness Festival, coming up
Yes.
here uh, next week, actually. Next weekend, 15, 16, or 16, 17 May. So excited about that. Of course, the 15th is on my birthday. I would love to make that one. But as a teacher, it's finals coming up. And last year I snuck off to Pittsburgh and, got back late because I had issues with my truck and had an accident. So I pretty much missed all of the computer science all the AP finals. So yeah, they were not happy. So I'm pretty much like them this year. Maybe next
It's terrible timing, right? I also
year.
think that Chattanooga is having an expo in July. They're also going to
Mhm.
have a show there. I believe it's an Olympia qualifier as well. So
Right.
that'll be cool. It seems like we have some shows pretty close that are going to have expos. And this season, I think, is just going to be a phenomenal season for North and South Carolina. We also have the Border Clash as well between North and South Carolina, which will be a great show. Excalibur in August as
Right.
well. And then this is also the first year that they're going to be doing a show called the Hunter Classic, which is going to be in Alabama. And I
Right.
know that they're trying to promote that as well. So it's a great lineup. I think that competitors have a lot of great show options for this season. I'm
Mhm.
really excited about the judges and the sponsors that have committed to putting on these shows this season. I wasn't able to attend the natural show. But I
Mhm.
was really looking forward to it. And I know Chris always helps do an amazing job. And from what I saw from the pictures and the videos, it looked amazing. So I'm glad that we are really promoting also the natural NPC shows. I think that there's such a great celebration to be had for the folks that are able to compete in those divisions under the natural shows. And I know
Mhm.
there's 3 total planned for this season. So folks can check out the full schedule at NPC. the NPC website.
And of course, you're talking about Mike Rittini.
Yes.
He just came in as in the Carolina NPC. And as a judge too. And so I'm really hoping that he and of course, JM and Tyler Mannion and the IFBB and NPC, of course, take a strong look at Fayetteville, North Carolina. I mean, the Crown Coliseum, I think, is perfect. You got the military community, plenty of hotels. The airport has been upgraded significantly, and literally they can fly in and fly out because the airport is like a mile and a half, nearly walking distance from the Crown Coliseum. So great venue, and then of course they could competitors could stay in Fayetteville or they could stay off of Cedar Creek Road, but it's literally right there. Fly in, fly out, and you're done. So
yeah, I think it's an amazing venue. I think that we could really provide for a larger show.
Yep, and because the Fayetteville Marksmen play there, we host, of course, all of the Cumberland County schools graduations there. So there's plenty of room and plenty of where they want to do it right there in the same room where the Marksmen play, or off to the left or right. I think it'd be great. And I don't mind traveling, but I mean, I got to drive 6 hours to Atlanta, roughly 6 hours to see women's bodybuilding. So of course, I'm always going to be rooting for them. But to see a show, Charlotte, that's the closest, which we did. And then I got to go 8 hours to Pittsburgh, to the north, or I got to go 8 hours to the south, to hit Orlando, Tampa, and beyond. So, I mean, it is what it is, and with gas prices, it's a lot. And,
it is.
And the point of, and travel as far as by flying. So it's going to be especially challenging this year for competitors to get to shows because of the gas prices. So all the best for them. If you can reach out and sponsor a competitor, as I do, competitors, because I also sponsor Ashley Jones, number 2 in the world, and Melissa Guerrero, who's a wellness competitor, both IFBB pros, of course, and do what you can because it costs so much to get there. So you can sponsor an athlete, sponsor a show as well. When you get a chance to go to the show, get the VIP tickets, because if you're going to travel that far, you might as well plan and budget to get you a VIP ticket so you can be up close enough to, as I always say, to smell the protein.
That's right.
And preferably right to the left or right behind the judges, so you can hear all the commands. And I tell you, it's awesome. You never will forget it. So if you get a chance to go to a show, if you haven't been to a show, amateur or pro, you owe it to yourself to go check out to see what competitive bodybuilding is all about.
I couldn't agree more. It is quite the experience. And it's just amazing being able to showcase athletes, that really push their bodies to the limit day in and day out.
So no question. So now, what's your schedule like? Are you working from home?
I do. I work from home full time, which I'm so grateful for it because it provides the flexibility for me and my kids and for this lifestyle that I've chose to lead when it comes to bodybuilding. So
right. And that's a huge plus because you can go to the gym and be conducting work while you're doing cardio. So
yes. And if I need to travel, I can always take my my computer and stuff with me, and I can work from anywhere in the world, which is nice.
So you got a couple copies of Amazon's fitness magazine.
I did.
Have you had a chance to read through them, or what do you think?
Yes, I've been looking through them, and of course, I resonated when you talked about Ashley Jones, because I saw her at the Olympia last year. She's absolutely phenomenal, and I really love. I love all of the divisions like you were talking about. I do love that they've brought Fit Model in. I think it really showcases the vintage look for what, women's bikini used to look like, in the earlier days. And so I think that's really great, but I really love all the divisions. I can tell you, I've met so many people across so many divisions, and there's no singular division that works harder than the other. All of these people work extremely hard. It doesn't matter what they look like, what division they compete in, from fit model to women's physique, to figure, to wellness, to men's open bodybuilding classic, men's physique. All these people tirelessly work day in and day out.
And it's not that I don't dislike the men or the men's open and all that. They're great. I shoot all fitness genres, but my mainstay, is all about the women, and because they get the most shade, they definitely don't get as much prize money. But
it's true. It's very true. Maybe
yeah.
one day it'll be bigger. Maybe we'll have, our own Miss Olympia show one day, which would be great.
Well, at the minimum, I just like to see them get more money in the
Yes,
meantime.
that would be really nice.
So they can get more money. That's a start, and we'll just have to keep building from there. But no question, I was glad to go to Orlando to see Girl Power a couple of weeks ago. And like I said, I got my VIP tickets, and it was all girls show. Shannon Day, I think is the what is her last name? But anyway, she's a promoter, puts on a great show in Orlando, and she has another one coming up in October. So I may try to make it down there for that as well. But coming up next, I'm gonna do my best. I'm planning to be in Atlanta for the Linda Murray. I always support her, love her show, and so yeah. Are you planning on going to any pro shows or coming up, or any?
I'm gonna try. We will see what happens. I do I'm huge. If you ever watch my Instagram, I'm huge on just romanticizing every day of my life, whether I'm in prep or not. But as you know, when you're in prep, it's hard to travel and do things, especially when you get closer to the show. If I was 8 or 9 weeks out, it would probably be easier to travel. Even last weekend I went up to Iron Layer. Shout out to Iron Layer in Apex. Great facility up there. But I went up there to have a photo shoot done, and so I spent the whole day in Raleigh, and I was packing like I was going to be away for 4 days. I had to have all my food. I had a separate bag that had all change of clothes in it, hygiene stuff. And then of course I had my gym bag. I had everything with me, and I'm like, this is only for 1 day, and I'm going to be in my own bed tonight. This is insane, It
is, of course, Raleigh, Charlotte, Greensboro. And like I said, I'm still thumping on Fayetteville. I mean, all great venues.
Yes.
To host a NPC or a pro show. And so, yeah.
I agree. And I think from what it looked like, they used the Crown Theater here in Fayetteville for the natural show, and it looked amazing. And that's where they host the ballet and a lot of other things. And so I think it was a great venue for that show. It absolutely was.
Yeah, I was there. All the graduations, the marksmen play there. Great venue, right here in Fayetteville, close to the airport. I mean, you're on top of the airport, literally. And so, so I'm hopeful, and we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah,
thanks
absolutely.
For coming on. I really appreciate you taking time out and telling us and sharing your story. We're definitely going to feature it in the Amazon's Fitness magazine, and of course, let me know as you get closer to prep or whenever you're ready, so we can do this photo shoot.
Absolutely. I can't wait, Glenn. And like I said, I'm just so thankful and so honored. My biggest thing is, and people always that know me, they're always like, oh, I can't wait until it's your turn, because I'm just so supportive of everybody. And at this point, I tell people, I've had my turn. This is God's turn now. And I just want him to use me in this sport to inspire people. I really just, that's my goal. I just want to inspire people. I want to be a good role model for this sport. I want to be somebody that young girls and even, women and men look up to and say, Tyler can do this. I can definitely do this. And I'm trying to find a balance between showcasing every single part of my life. I'm a very private person, and I'm not super social media savvy. So this has been kind of a learning curve for me. But I'm trying to really just put out realistic information. This is what my daily life looks like. Sometimes I eat my third meal in the car while I'm waiting to pick up my kids from school. And, sometimes I literally am go. I drive 45 minutes to go to the gym, so people, there's people out there complaining that they got to drive 10 minutes. I'll drive 45 minutes just because I like that location better. Not that I don't have a gym closer, but I just like that one close, the lot better. So if you really want to achieve these things, time management, you can make it work. You can really make it work with any schedule that you have,
Definitely. And like I said, I'm sitting there laughing because it was raining outside. And of course, you never know how it's going to go with StreamYard and connectivity. But I mean, you're literally down the street here in Raeford. So yeah, everything's crisp and clear.
I know. Praise God for that.
Here. I really appreciate you coming on, Tyler. Look forward to talking again soon. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you. Keep promoting Amazon's Fitness Magazine, and let me know when you're ready. Let me know when you're ready to do this shoot.
Absolutely, I can't wait. Thanks so much, Glenn, for having me, and I look forward to our next chat.
Definitely. Talk soon.
All right, bye.
Tyler Cradick, NPC Wellness Competitor, getting ready for her first show. Great story. Glad she took time out to share it, and especially convenient because she's right here in Raeford. So it's always ironic and funny when I run into competitors and find out that they're from North Carolina, but in her case, especially because she was right here in Raeford. Thanks to everyone that subscribes to AmazonsFitMag.com, all those that subscribe to the YouTube channel. I appreciate everyone's calls and DMs based on everything that has transpired and happened to me in my personal life with the loss of my wife. So day by day, as I continue to come back and stay on the mend and do the best that I can, but I appreciate you and love you for it and all the kind words. When you do more, I can do more. So I want to give a special shout out to all my subscribers, both on the YouTube channel and of course on the website. Coming up, if you want to order the magazine, simply go to AmazonsFitMag.com, click on issues, and order whichever one you want. The January issue features number 2 in the world, Ashley Jones. So make sure you continue to buy that. The spring issue is coming. I have been working on it, as well as working through everything that is going on in my personal life. So the spring issue of Amazon's Fitness Magazine will be here soon. But in the meantime, enjoy all the issues. Like I said, go out there on Amazon's Fitness Magazine, AmazonFitMag.com, and order the issues. Miss Fitness Olympia. Of course, Jessica Reyes Padilla. So all the issues are out there over the last, wow, can you believe it? Since 2022 to now, 4 years of issues and content. So go out there, order the magazine. When you do more, I can do more. And coming up on Sunday, May 17th, she's back. She is back, Sherry Priyami. She is doing the now Arizona show, Wings of Strength, invitational, if you will. And so we're going to get a chance to sit down and talk to her to see what she's been up to, as now she is back and on stage and competing in the Wings of Strength Arizona show. So you don't want to miss that. High noon, Sunday on 17 May. Until next time, again, thanks for all the love and support. Remember to subscribe to Amazon's Fitness Magazine, AmazonFitMag.com, and continue to celebrate women's physique. Well, not just women's physique, all of physiques, but I'm sort of partial to women's physique division as well, because that's where it started. And that's why Teresa Moda, as you can see in the background, is the logo, literally. So, but I love all 7 divisions, but especially if you want to be featured in the magazine, reach out, answer my DM. Like I said, I'll be next. You'll probably see me in Atlanta at the Atlanta Pro. But in the meantime, if you want to be featured in the magazine, reach out and we'll set it up and get you to come to the All-American city that is Fayetteville, North Carolina, and do this shoot. or vice versa, if I can get to your location as well. But if you want to be featured in Amazon's fitness magazine, especially my women's bodybuilders, because in a perfect situation, women's bodybuilder would be on the cover, but then you'd have a 2 to 3 page centerfold layout of all the other divisions. So let's keep it going and make contact. Until next time, I'm Glenn Young. Celebrate the female physique. Subscribe to AmazonsFitMag.com.